Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining Lightspeed for this webinar. I'm Peter Devine, Lightspeed's Director of Client Outreach, and I'm happy to have Fausto Pugliese back with us today for a great presentation on a topic that steps through some important concepts applicable to both novice and experienced traders. Today's presentation is entitled Fear and Greed, How to Control Each Emotion to Improve Your Trading. If you're not familiar with Fausto, let me just take a minute to introduce him. He's the founder and CEO of Cyber Trading University, one of the most highly regarded online trading schools. We'll be taking questions today from the audience and encourage you to send them to us during the webinar using the message window on your GoToWebinar control panel. I'd like to just remind everyone that this webinar is being provided for educational purposes only. No information presented herein constitutes a recommendation by Lightspeed Trading or Cyber Trading University to buy, sell, or hold any security or to pursue any specific trading strategies. Today's webinar, like many others, is being recorded for inclusion in our webinar series on-demand section of our website. You can access these and play them back at any time by simply visiting www.lightspeed.com/webinars. We remain committed here at Lightspeed to focusing on trader education, and we'd encourage all attendees of today's webinar to sign up for our upcoming webinars as well. So, without further ado, let me now turn the presentation over to Fausto. Fausto?
Peter, thank you very much, and I'd like to thank Lightspeed for having me here again. I always look forward to speaking on behalf of Lightspeed on their great platform that they have. And once again, a lot of great features on that platform. I don't know how active of a trader some of you are, but I do a lot of education and for a lot of brokerage firms. But the Lightspeed product is one of the very few that I found in the industry that gives you so many bells and whistles. But there are some very important tools that I found over the years that I've done that some of you here, and I know I've trained a lot of you here, that are not utilizing some of the features on the Lightspeed product, specifically the total view and all the exchanges, which is one of the things that I found have been even more and more and more active and more important every day to understand the supply and demand. But getting back to the topic, ladies and gentlemen, yes, fear and greed. Obviously, you need to know how to control each one of those and achieve trading success, because just to let you know a little bit about myself, I started about 18 years ago in the trading markets, and before I was a successful trader, I was a failure because I didn't know what I was doing, and a lot of it was the fear and greed, which comes with experience. But when I knew and was trained by some of the professionals in the industry, I live in New York, the financial capital of the world. I know that's where Lightspeed's branch office is not too far from Cyber Trading University, because they're in New York themselves. But the thing is that what we all learn when it comes to trading, you obviously have to understand how to use the platform properly, which I know Lightspeed does an excellent job of educating you guys about. But also now it comes with experience, and you have to know how to control that. It's when it comes to trading, ladies and gentlemen, you can't buy experience, but you have to know how to control it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over some of the key components and features that I like about the Lightspeed product, but then also getting into giving you guys an understanding of that I'm human just like you. And you have to understand that these are the things that you need to overcome to be successful and succeed in today's markets. So let me just change the slide here, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, we have a quick disclaimer like everybody else, just like in Lightspeed themselves. But please be careful what you're getting yourself involved in when it comes to trading. And if you want to read more about the disclaimer, you could read it on the homepage of Cyber Trading University. Now, 5 things we're going to learn today, ladies and gentlemen. Number 1, we're going to talk about how to read level 2. I find that there are a lot of people that are scared of level 2. They don't know how to read it, but there is some very important data that's involved in there, including level 3, which is the total view, which is going to be replacing level 2 within the next year, from what I was told from NASDAQ. And then we're going to talk a lot about the discipline, the psychology, what we just talked about, and also go through how we find those great stocks in the market. So a lot of great stuff we're going to cover, ladies and gentlemen. And just to let you know, we're probably going to go a little bit more than 30 minutes. So there's going to be some good stuff to learn, and we're going to open up for questions when it gets to the end. So let me change the slide here. Just a little quick introduction about Cybertrain University. For some of you who don't know this, actually there's a correction that has to be done on the slide, but I am 9-time champion at the Traders Challenge. I've beat almost I beat all my competitors that I've traded against in the Traders Challenge. You could read more about it. The thing is that I love to compete because if someone's going to teach you, you should know, see them trade live, and how they do it in the market. Because one thing that we do here at Cybertrain University is we trade live with our students, and not only that, but what's great about watching traders trade, and I think this is probably one of the most exciting lessons that I do when I teach my students, is you get to see what it's like with the personality and how we react into trading. Because I guess that's why we're here. The emotions kick in, you get a little overwhelmed, you get scared, you don't know if you want to take a loss, you don't know if you should take a profit, but that's the beauty about coming and being here and understanding that. So let's start off with level 2 really quick, and then I'll get into all the discipline part and tell you about all the greed and fear part of it. Starting off with level 2. Now, the whole execution system on the Lightspeed product is dictated on what happens right here. See, charts get its data from action, from price action in the market. Where does that action come from? Transactions, time and sales, buying and selling. Well, when it comes to trading, and by the way, this is one of my biggest mistakes that I made when I first started, is that when you're trading in the market, you have to know who's buying it and who's selling it, who's on the bid and who's on the offer. Well, it all starts off with level 2. Now, if you look here at the Lightspeed product, let me see if I could just get my crayons out here. Give me a second. There we go. All right. So right here on the left-hand side, you could see that these are the buyers, and on the right-hand side, these are the sellers. The first column is giving you a full-letter abbreviation of the brokerage firm's name, their price, and the amount of shares. On the right-hand side, these are the brokerage firms looking to sell the stock. This is the price that they're looking to sell it for, and this is the amount of shares they're looking to sell. Everything there is multiplied by 100. Now, the way level 2 works is this. Whoever wants to buy the stock for the most amount of money is up on top. On the left-hand side, whoever wants to sell their shares for the least amount of money is up here on top. So what you're seeing is now you're seeing all the exchanges, ARCA, NASDAQ, BATS, UBS Bank, Goldman Sachs, Deutsche Bank. You're seeing all the brokerage firms and exchanges, the prices, and the quantity you're looking to purchase. So it all starts here, ladies and gentlemen. So what you're looking at is basically one big chat room. Now, when it comes to going from level 2, Lightspeed has, in my opinion, probably the best, and I'll repeat that again, the best total view that I've ever seen. And the reason why I'm saying that, they're probably the only company that I've ever seen that has multiple exchanges, and you could see multiple levels of what's going on in that total view. Now, the problem with level 2 versus level 3 is that level 3, which obviously when it comes to total view, is that you get to see in the book, this is the book that we're looking at right here. Let me get my crayon. Level 2 would only show you the best bid and best offer of an exchange. So for example, you see right here in green it says NASDAQ. On level 2, you will only see this 200-share buyer at $19.55 and this 100-share seller at $19.63. You would not see the buyers over here at 40s, 39s, 35s, none of that. I mean, I'll give you a better one, EDGX. On level 2, you're only going to see the 835 shares at 1955. But you will not see in level 2 the 5,000 share buyers. So for some of you that you hear about these hidden orders and, these orders that you can't see, well, what's great about the Lightspeed product is that on their execution system, you have this, and you could see multiple exchanges. So I don't know if anybody has it turned on yet, but I'm going to invite all of you guys tomorrow. I'm doing another free 2-day event that's going to be trading in the live markets, and I'm going to get in extremely detailed of what we're looking and how to apply these big orders and what they're doing on the actual market hours. So hopefully I'm going to give everybody the link, and everybody wants to come and watch me, feel free to register, and we'll get you registered for that event. But first things first, this is probably, in my opinion, the most important window of the whole execution system. And the reason for that is supply and demand. You're seeing the supply, you're seeing the demand, you're seeing who's posting those orders, and that's what's the key when it comes to trading. Now, that's just teaching you understanding the basics of trading. This is just, like I said, the basics of understanding supply and demand. I mean, I didn't even get into the need and greed fear part of it. I mean, I'm just trying to educate all of you to understand where to find and see the supply and demand of an actual market. Now, as a responsibility as a trader, there are a couple of things that you have to understand when it comes to trading. Number one, trading is a job. It's not investing. If you ever try to treat this as investing, you're going to get yourself in trouble. You see, traders really don't care what we trade. I mean, think about it. Why are you really here? Just to make money. That's the only reason. I mean, do you really care that you went out and bought an Apple today and like, ooh, I love Apple, great iPad, I'm going to buy the stock? That's investing, okay? But how about Priceline? Anybody here care about Priceline? I don't even, I don't even care about the company. I don't even bought anything on Priceline. But Priceline was down over $100 today. It was a great short last night. I would trade it today. These are the things that you have to understand. Now, would I trade it tomorrow, the next day? Probably not, because there are other stocks to trade. So you have to treat trading like a job, because a job pays a salary. And your job and what your goal is to make a day's pay. That's what you're looking to do. Now, if you think like an investor, you'll never make your day's pay. You have to look for action and volatility. And that's what you're trying to meet. Keep a diary of what you've done in the market. Now, understand something. Trading is no different than a diet, okay? Counting calories when it comes to a diet. When it comes to trading, to be a good trader, you have to basically manage your trades. You have to go out there and see why you're buying stocks, why you're selling them. Did you make money today? Are you making money today? Are you not making money today? It's building a consistency. You see, I've trained tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people over the years. Cyber Trading University is we're the pioneer that started education. I've seen people trade. I've done speakings, and I'm telling you this: you have to, before you can run, you got to learn how to walk. And you know what? If you can't make a day's pay, if you can't even make $100 a day consistently, how are you going to make $500 to $1,000? It's just not going to happen. And that's what you have to look at. You have to look at it in that way. Keep a diary every day of what you're doing. When I teach my students, one of the things I do is I make sure and I manage and watch everything that they buy, and that they're taking notes, that we actually give out here at Cyber Trading University. We give you day logs, and I make sure you're filling in the day logs, making sure you're analyzing your trades at the end of the day, but if you're not doing it, you're never going to learn. Think about if anybody here does sports, watch sports. Have you ever heard of Monday morning quarterback? There's a reason why coaches do that, because they want to educate themselves, even though you are the greatest player in the world. Look at Tiger Woods. He has a coach. They analyze and see what they do every day. Well, you're no different, because you know what? You are an athlete. This is your job, and that's part of what you need to do to be successful at it, because we all know what happens if what happens is when you go out there and you're trading and you don't manage your trades, we know that that's one of the reasons why we fail. Now, trade a way that makes you feel comfortable. Now, the thing you have to understand is that stocks can become very, very scary. They really can. And the thing that you have to remember is that if you can't comprehend what a stock is doing, if the stock is moving too fast, you're better off not even trading that stock. I mean, that alone, ladies and gentlemen, is a fear factor. Because if you're looking at something and you just can't manage and know why it's going up and down the way it is, it only takes a couple of seconds for the stock to drop on you. And that's how you get yourself in trouble. So keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, when you're trading a stock and you're looking at that level 2 and that stock is trading very volatile, you have to learn how to walk away from that. Controlling your temper. Well, I can tell you this. Stocks can actually make you lose your temper. I mean, I've lost my temper several times. Actually end up almost breaking my toe, kicking some big file cabinet right next to me. What ends up happening, ladies and gentlemen, is you try to get even, and you don't want to do that. The thing that you have to remember is that you have to be focused all the time when you're trading in the market, and you can't let the stock take the best of you. Let's talk about, regardless of the greed part of it. When I've traded and when I teach my students, and hopefully some of you are doing this right now, but you can't be scared to trade. The only thing that you should be scared of is that you're in a position and the stock is trading very volatile. And if the stock is very volatile, you shouldn't be in the stock in the first place. But you should not be scared to trade. You have to trade to make money in this market. You have to go out there and trade. If you don't, you'll never learn. And I think that's one of the biggest fears that you have to overturn. Now, let me just tell you some of my advice that I tell my students what to do. Okay? I tell my students, listen, there are a lot of opportunities out there to make money every single day. There are stocks moving every single day. And if you are scared to do that trade because you're afraid to lose money, well, let me tell you something. If you're afraid to lose money, trading is not for you. It's just not. I'm just being point blank. But if you want it to be for you and you want to try it, this is what I tell my students what to do. Go out there and just buy 100 shares of the stock. 100 shares. I mean, how much money could you make at 100 shares? All the thing has to do is go up a penny and you could break even. 100 shares. I know you're not going to make any money out of it. But guess what? You're not going to lose that much. So where's the fear? You have to trade to learn. If you don't trade, you're not going to learn. And if you're still scared to trade, then go out there and just paper trade. The Lightspeed product has a great demo execution system. You can go out there, you could paper trade, you could do as many trades you want. And, and by the way, make sure you treat it like real money. Don't go out there and just try to trade and just figure, I'll just buy this, buy that. Treat it like real money, because if you can't, you're never going to learn. And not for a long time, maybe for 2 weeks. And let me just tell you this, and I know everyone at Lightspeed probably tells everyone here the same thing. Listen, if you can't make money on demo mode, there's absolutely no way you're going to make money with real money in the market. Paper trade, because I'll guarantee you one thing. The stock market's not going out of business, all right? So what's the rush? Be focused. Be patient. Get the fear out of you. Know what it's like to be in and out of it. Don't be scared. Stocks are not going to bite. You know where the fear kicks in? Because you're too scared to lose money. And if that's the case, then you should trade less shares and just make it like a video game. Remember some of you, I mean, think about it. Let's talk about video games. That's pretty interesting. How many of us actually used to play video games when we used to go to the arcade? Did you ever think about 50 cents and 25 cents? You know, you played the game. Well, look at it that way. Trade small shares and just get better at it. And guess what? When you get better at it, you up your shares, and then you can start making some real money. And by analyzing your trades, and the faster you make those mistakes, then you'll understand, you'll get the fear out of it, out of your system. Because that's the whole idea. And by the way, you have to also remember that you are going to lose in trading. It's part of the game. It's almost impossible to be batting 1,000. So you have to accept that you're going to lose money in trading, and by accepting that, it's going to get you better at what you do. Now, the greed factor I like to talk about, well, guess what? Greed is not what Gordon Gekko says in the movie Wall Street. Greed is not good. Greed is bad, okay? And I'll tell you why. If you don't have a goal to make a day's pay, and you try to make more, I got news for you. You're going to give it back. You might get lucky here and there, but you're going to give it back. One thing that I always try to educate my students. Let me just show you really quick right here on the slide. There we go, right here. One thing I always try to educate my students is to have a goal. Have a goal and manage that profit and try to be consistent. Try to be, I don't know if anybody here follows baseball, but let's think about it. Who do you want to be successful? Who would you rather have? Mark McGwire or Joe DiMaggio? Joe DiMaggio hit the ball 56 times in a row, base hits in a row. He'll hit home runs, but who do you want on your team, home runs or base hits? The whole idea is being consistent. And this is where greed gets people in trouble. You know, it's amazing, but I mean, I don't want to, you know, kind of make people feel that trading is that, you know, simple to trade. I could tell you this, trading is actually quite easy to do. It's, you know, you have the right execution system, you got the right tools. It's actually quite easy with today's technology. You have the same technology than any other market maker or brokerage firm is trading in the market. Okay, oh, whatever. Well, maybe a fraction of a second, but please, people get confirmations 2-3 minutes later. But you have the same technology as them. The thing is that when I educate and when I trade with my students, and I assume some of you here do the same, when you trade, there is a very small window of opportunity to make money in the market, and that's the first hour and the last hour. But the problem is that some of us make it so fast, and we're like, damn, how do I go from here? How do I actually continue to trade? What do I do? And what ends up happening is if you are not sticking with your goals, you're going to give it back. And that's where the greed kills you, okay? So understand something. The two very important things that you have to understand in trading is the fear part of it is trading. The only way you're going to get the fear out of your system is you have to trade, and you have to consistently, you know, and I always tell, I kind of educate my students that you should be at least doing a minimum of 10 trades a day if you're day trading. You know, if you're swing trading, obviously less, it's a different type of mindset. But, I mean, myself, I'll do 50 trades a day. I mean, I have a sister of mine that used to trade with me a long time ago. She used to do 100, 150 tickets a day. And she didn't even know what the hell she was in other than she was scalping, you know. It's a different mindset. You're looking for opportunities, and you will get there. But the only way to get there is you have to keep trading and learning and learning and learning. And if you're scared, go back and trade small shares. You know what? If you feel scared 100 shares, buy 1 share of the damn stock. 1 share just to see what's to be in the game. But you have to trade. You got to get the fear out. Otherwise, trading's not for you. And then getting back into the greed factor, listen, 1,000 shares right here. Look at the numbers right here, ladies and gentlemen. Potential, income potential. 1,000 shares. If you trade 1,000 shares, stock moves 20 cents. 20 lousy cents. You make $200 a day. That's almost a $50,000 a year salary. 20 cents. How hard is this? We see stocks move dollars. 20 cents is all you're looking for. So the thing is that, you know, and listen, maybe some of you have to make more money than that. Some of you might be happy at that. But if you're looking to make $100,000 a year salary, that's a 50 cents move a day that you have to make. But before you can get to even know what it's like, because I can tell you this, it's not easy going up, okay? Because whatever money you're willing to make, you have to be willing to lose that. That's right. So if your goal is to make 200 a day, if you lose 200, because you are going to lose some days, 200's game over. And by the way, that is the other, and you should all write this down, that's the other part of the greed factor that, and actually I take that back, the discipline factor is that you don't lose more than what you want to make. Because let's say if your goal is to make 20 cents a day and you end up losing, you know, 40 cents, you have 2 winning days to make that money back. And let me tell you, when you're losing that much, chances are if you had a 20 cents winner, you're not going to probably take it. So that's where I say is like the greed factor. Because now you're starting to get greedy, you're trying to make your money back, and you have to, and now you're starting to get into a fear of afraid to lose, and you don't want to do that. So let's just do a quick, recap of what we covered. Fear. You have to get the fear out of your system, and one of the ways of doing that is trading. Only way you're going to know and get the fear out is keep doing it over and over and over again. It's like driving a bicycle. Anyone here? You know, I even use a good metaphor. Actually, I have my niece that is just starting to learn how to drive a car. By the way, have any of you guys ever sit in a car of a teenager that's just starting to drive? You want to talk about fear? Oh my God, I'm feared myself of my life. I'm like, I'm afraid she's going to crash. But how did she get better at it? She just goes out there once and says, oh, now I know how to drive. She's got to keep doing it. It's the same thing like you, ladies and gentlemen. You have to keep trading. Now, the greed factor, you have to know when to take your profits and walk away. It's the hardest thing to do. But when you start getting consistent, then you can meet other future goals. So those are the things that you have to look at and understand when it comes to trading.
Hey, Fausto, can I just interrupt for 1 second? There's a question that's been asked. It's a pretty timely.
Go ahead.
Pretty timely question, and the question is, what are your thoughts about having a rule to stop if you lose 50% of what you were hoping to earn?
Well, depending on the time, Pete, that's a good question. Like for example, like I won't trade more than the first hour of the open because things start to slow down. So, you know, if I'm going into like, and I know everyone's here from all over the country, so if I'm going into like maybe like 10:30, 11 o'clock, and I'm down, let's say my goal is to make 200 a day, I'm down 100, because remember you got ticket charges on top of that, I would call it quits. I mean, you don't go out there and says, well, I didn't lose my 200 yet, so let me keep doing it. No, you just call it quits. You know what? Because then you come back in the afternoon, and now you have a clear head, and you trade the close where you get another second wave of a move. But the thing is, you're still down 100, so you have 100 cushion there just in case. But that's how I would do that, Pete.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions?
Not so far, but I'm sure our audience will send them in.
Okay. All right. So anyway, getting back to, I want to talk about screen layout too. Before we get into the end, for some of you who want to watch me trade live for the next 2 days. For some of you that are interested, I do have a screen layout of the Lightspeed product, and you have to understand that these execution systems can get very, very overwhelming. And for some of us, you probably want a little basic layout. Otherwise, if you want to really see what the Lightspeed product can really do, then you're going to have 4 screens and maybe even more. But I kind of simplified it. Some of us trade on a laptop or on one screen, which is more than enough. But you could see how I have my layout here. Just to let you know, I have a one-day intraday chart at the top left. My quotes up here up on top, watching the market. A one-day chart, my level 2 on the bottom. On the right-hand side, let me get my pointer. Hold on. There we go. My time and sales, my risers and fallers, where I find the stocks that I want to trade, my book viewer right here on the bottom right. On the left, the buying power, orders, positions, and ticket alert from looking at stocks with a ticker. And up here on top, I can see if I have, my messages. So, I mean, you could see that there are a lot of features you can add to it, but if anyone's interested in my layout, wants to try around with it, feel more than happy to contact me, and I'll tell you how you guys can get it. But I think that one of the biggest hurdles, and to get the fear out, is maybe simplifying your execution system. I think that's another fear that I would I forgot to mention. I want to mention it now, is that having the right execution layout, keeping it as simple as possible, will make you trade more. Because remember, you need to trade to learn. So if you simplify your execution system, you'll be more aggressive on jumping in and out of positions, other than being over analytical on it. So that is one of the fear that comes out. So let me just change the slide here. Now, if anybody would like to come and watch me trade live tomorrow, I'm doing a free 2-day event. So you get to see how I will look at the book viewer, how I will be disciplined to get out of positions, not afraid to trade, so you'll see there's no fear there. And not only that, but see me, but also not be greedy on trades, and knowing when to take losses and when to take profits. You could actually visit our website at cybertradinguniversity.com. Right on the homepage, under quick links, it says a free live trading webinar. I guess Pete will be able to put it in the chat, the link, if you'd like to, and register for it. And I'm going to be doing a 1-hour presentation. It's going to be on Thursday and Friday morning, and you get to watch me trade live in the market, and you'll see everything that I and so much more to cover to see me do it in real market conditions. So another thing, you could email me at faustop at ctucorp.com, and I'll also give you a copy of my layout on the Lightspeed product also. So that's my personal email. Please don't spam me, because I take my email very personally. So I really don't like to give it out, but I trust you all. Now, with that said, does anyone have any questions before we end the presentation?
Yeah, there's a couple that have come in, Fausto, so let me tee them up. And I'm sure as we go through this, there'll be others that will ask questions, and I encourage the audience to do so. Okay, so here's a question. Fausto, how many positions do you feel you can comfortably manage at the same time?
You see, Pete, that's not a good question for someone to ask in a way. It's not what I can manage, it's what you can manage, I could watch 5, 6 stocks at one time. You might be like, well, how do you do that? I mean, well, that comes with experience and time. I could tell you this, if you can't trade one stock, you should only trade one stock and be in one position at a time. Because what ends up happening is you'll be in one position and not know what's going on with the market makers or the orders on the other stock, and one ends up being a winner and the other one becomes a loser. So unless you know how to be a tape reader, is what I am, and know how to watch the tape and the ticker and stuff like that, just trade one stock. And then if you could be consistent on that, then you could trade some more stocks.
Okay.
But that's my question for that.
All right. A couple other questions. How do you feel about multiple screens when you're trading? And I guess the person asking the question is just wondering about setting up their trading environment at home.
Well, I could tell you this, Pete, and whoever that listener is, if you can't make money with one screen, there's no way you're making money with two. All right? So start off, I would recommend probably just two, but you should have the execution system taking over one screen, and then maybe you want to run your trading room. We have our own live trading room here at CyberTrade University. Maybe you want to trade with other traders. Maybe you want to check your email. Maybe do a browser. But try to keep the execution on one and have a second monitor on the and then all your other stuff that you're doing on the side on a second monitor. But don't, today's times, monitors are so inexpensive these days. You could buy nice 23-inch monitors for like $130. You just upgrade them and just fit what you can on one screen. But don't get crazy on multiple monitors. I have 4 monitors because I'm doing multiple things myself. I'm running webinars, this and that, but I don't, not even me, I don't even go out there and move my screens to have multiple screens. You don't need to. The Lightspeed product is such a compact, great platform to do that for you, but you don't need to go crazy.
Okay. So I'm going to read a question, but before I do, I want to just remind folks of the disclaimer that I read in the beginning and that Fausto showed as well. So that disclaimer certainly applies to this question. So one of our listeners is asking, hey, Fausto, and I'll rephrase it a little bit, but aside from the risers and fallers windows, do you recommend any good websites to find ideas for good stocks to trade during the day?
Well, obviously, you can get very well educated just following and listening what's going on CNBC, watching the new station there. The thing that you want to look for is you have to understand on the risers and fallers on the Lightspeed product. You're looking at those stocks. I specifically trade those stocks because those are the stocks that have action in it and have volatility. You don't need to go anywhere else. Unless you got a niche and you want to trade stocks with earnings announcements, stock splits. But try to stick with the stocks that have volatility in it, and you already have it there. Keep it simple. You don't have to be over analytical and go crazy trying to find things.
Yep, I agree.
Those are the best stocks to trade.
Okay. So here's another question. Hey, Fausto, how do you analyze a level 2 or time and sales book when HFT can break large orders into tiny parts and possibly distort the tape? That's kind of a loaded question.
Yeah, that's, you know what? Come and see me tomorrow and I'll show you how that works in the real market.
Okay.
That's the best way to answer it.
Okay.
Picture's worth more than picture's worth more than 1,000 words.
All right. So here's another question from the audience. Okay. So Fausto, so when you enter a trade, you don't set up an automatic exit. You watch to manually exit when you are ready. Can you clarify?
If you're a beginner trader and you're not disciplined enough, and then you can put your stop orders in there. But me, I personally don't, because I'm disciplined enough and experienced enough that because things change by the second. I could see a resistance level and see a major order on the book viewer, and all of a sudden that big buyer can get taken out, and there's times where I could be a little more greedier than others. But depending on your experience and if you're disciplined enough, use your stops. But someone like me, I don't use them because I'm disciplined enough to trade a little bit more. But I wouldn't advise anybody to do that until you are, you have several months under your belt.
Okay. And while you mentioned stops, I just want to mention something in the presentation as you were going through it. You were talking about trading in the demo mode, and just for full disclosure, certain types of stop orders in the Lightspeed system work differently in production than in the demo mode. So if you have any questions about that, the Lightspeed Trade Desk or Relationship Management Desk is certainly happy to explain that. And we have some documentation about how stop orders work right on our website that I would encourage everyone to become familiar with if you haven't already. But anyway, back to the questions here. Okay, so Fausto, do you recommend using trailing stops or stop loss orders to capture the most profit on a trade that is going your way?
Well, did you meet your goal, and what you wanted to make? But I would if I'm not experienced enough to ride it a little bit more. That's how I would probably do that trade.
Okay. So here's another question. And again, just to remind our audience that this is a discussion with Fausto, and there's certain disclaimers that we bring up for a reason. So, Fausto, here's a question. What are your thoughts on when the media provides news on a particular stock? Do you think it's already too late to trade that stock?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because you know what? What happens is once the media comes out with the news, traders have to realize, well, is it good news? Is it bad news? How's the street going to react? I mean, look what happened with Facebook, for example. All the hype was out there. It was supposed to be a great stock. All of a sudden, the next day, the day of the open, ends up going down, and then now the street's starting to react. It says, well, maybe this really isn't a good deal. Maybe this is a bad deal, and now look at it. So absolutely not. I mean, when it's over when the market's closed. So, yeah, I mean, unless you know how to trade news and real-time news and understand it, I mean, which people feel like you need to go out there and do that. I don't really recommend it unless you're extremely advanced. I was never a fan of that. But you know what? Once a company comes out with news, the thing pops, whatever it is, or goes down, now people would realize, they go back to their, let's just go back to the old days. Stockbrokers are going to call their customers and be like, hey, listen, what do you want to do with the stock? It's down. Do you want to buy more? Do you want to buy less? And it'll trickle down, and we'll continue to pick that trend. So I would say no.
Okay.
It's never too late.
I agree with you. And for what it's worth, Lightspeed has a product called Lightspeed Audio News through Joe Corrigan that for retail accounts that qualify for pattern day trader coverage under Lightspeed Trader. We have certain provisions to make that available. Some of you may find that helpful if you're not already signed up for that. If you'd like to inquire more about that, you could send me an email, pdevine@lightspeed.com, and I'll follow up with you separately. Okay. Are there any other questions from our audience? Okay. Okay, one of the gentlemen is reminding me of a couple questions that he submitted. Let me see on the list. All right, I'm not sure I'm going to phrase this right, but I'll ask. Fausto, how do you deal with HFT sub-pennying of stocks? That's also
HFT?
Yeah. Not sure that's the right question to ask in this context here. So we could cover that offline.
Okay.
Okay. And some of the folks on the call asked me to say my email one more time. I'll do that. It's pdevine@lightspeed.com. Okay. All right. So unless there are any other questions, I'd like to encourage the audience to check out Fausto's offer to join him watch him for live trading session. I know from some of the folks that have done that in the past, they've gotten a lot out of it. And if you're interested in understanding more of the features of Fausto's layout, he's very gracious with his time, and certainly can walk you through that. And the Lightspeed Trade Desk can also assist you with that. So,
one thing I could say, Pete, if I can, to everyone, is that for everybody here, two things I just want you to understand. Number one, I know some people here are very experienced, and you know what? I'm probably a lot more experienced than anybody probably here, and let me just tell you, I always go out there and will never, ever not stop learning from someone else. So regardless, if you're a good trader, you'll always learn something. And about tomorrow's event, listen, you register for it, email it. The worst thing that could happen to you is that you learn something. We're going to do it when the market, 12 o'clock when the market's not active. We're going to go through a big lesson plan. We'll do some live trading in the morning. Market's not going anywhere. You can always learn something. So, and if you can't make it, it's recorded. So we'll send you the archive. But don't. You can always pick something up and learn something that will help you in future trading.
Yep, I certainly concur with that. Okay, so with that, I'd like to just remind our audience again. We remain committed to trader education here at Lightspeed, and one of several ways that we do that is through offering these free webinars, which take place on Wednesdays at 4:30. We have a whole library of pre-recorded webinars on our website that are arranged by category and when we gave them. And I certainly would encourage you to watch them. When you watch them on your own, you can pause them, play them back as much as you want. And a lot of folks that have listened to them say they really get a lot out of them. So I'd certainly encourage you to do that. And by all means, I would certainly encourage you to sign up for future webinars that we have planned. We have a schedule for August, and we'll be coming out with a schedule for September and future months real shortly. And so with that aside, I'd like to thank Fausto for another excellent presentation, and I'd like to thank the audience for participating as well and asking good questions. Good luck, everyone. Thanks for participating, and we'll see you on a future webinar real soon. Thanks, Fausto.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, take care, everyone.